Hello everybody, Wesley here, and today I'm going to be redesigning some characters from an old project that unfortunately fizzled out. Today I'll be focusing on the main four, which is Dell, Jordan, Skylar, and Lola. I was originally going to do a Mira too, but I saw Mira's old design and I straight up wanted to physically throw up. I'm not exaggerating, nor am I joking, so I'm gonna give that design its own video. Okay, so first we'll be breaking down the original designs to see what we should and shouldn't carry over. And then I'll show you my inspiration for the redesigns, and then I'll explain those over a speed paint or something similar like that. Right, let's get started. Okay, starting off with one of my old favourites, Dell. Okay, so for the pros, I tried to focus on shape language, and the shape I was focusing on with Dell is triangles, to match their serious, sharp, and stoic personality. And because of some lore reasons I'm not going to discuss, because it's important to the story. I guess it's kinda mysterious? I'm sort of grasping at straws here, because there's not really much I can say about it. It's kind of sad, because Dell used to be my favourite character, and I think it shows in their design, but I didn't think the design was the best when I was doing this whole thing. I don't really like the colour palette. It's dull, it doesn't give off alchemy vibes, and the blue is literally only in the eyes. It's a waste of a colour. I learned recently that characters should have a distinct silhouette, and that's just not happening here. The entire design just does not scream main character energy like it should. And then obviously the hands look like a cinnamon roll. It does. And you can very clearly tell I did not know how to draw shoes other than sneakers or trainers. Okay, next I'll be talking about Skylar. I was going to do Jordan, but that's going to be a whole thing, so I'm just going to do Skylar and Lola first before I get into all of that. Okay, so for the pros for Skylar's old design, it kinda gives off main character vibes, like very subtly. I think I'm grasping at straws again. I actually thought the earthy tones in the colour palette was quite interesting. I actually like how tomboy or leaning towards butch she looks, and I kinda want to exaggerate that in my redesign. Okay, now moving on to the cons. All the colours are dark and mucky, and the only contrast is her skin tone, which isn't great. The silhouette is like really basic, like again, it's not good for character design if you're focusing on main characters. It's a little bit of a stereotype, I think, but I don't actually mind that as much, but it's still noticeable. Okay, and you can very clearly tell that for the back drawing I literally just copied and pasted it and then just did some changes because the hands are backwards. The focus for the shape language was rectangles and squares, and I think you can kinda see it, but it can definitely be pushed more because you can't really see it as much as you should. Okay, and now we're moving on to Lola. The most ironic thing, that it's funny really, Lola was literally a character that I ignored and brushed off the most. However, looking back on it now, her design is actually my favourite. And that's literally, it's better than Dell's old design, I'd say. And Dell used to be my favourite one. I really like her colour palette on the swatches. It's a perfect blend of light and dark, and they all go together perfectly on the colour wheel, or similarly. The outfit is really fitting for her, and it's actually kind of cute. The hat, the dress, and the hair gives a better silhouette than all of the others. It gives me French vibes for some reason, and I actually really like that. Okay, now for the cons. it's not really a con, it's just something I noticed. The focus for the shape language for Lola was circles, and I can kinda see it, but I think I can exaggerate the rounder body type to give some body diversity and just to introduce that a bit more in my new design. Okay, and now we're moving on to the worst design out of all of them. Okay, so the pros for Jordan, it's kind of grasping at straws again. They kind of look androgynous, I guess. I wrote them to be non-binary, so like I kind of like that's kind of cool, I guess. Oh, but the cons just outweigh the pros tenfold. The color palette I hate it so much. The skin tone looks like I was scared to make a genuinely dark-skinned character, so I just resorted to this. And the only hint of that emerald green is in the eyes, where you can't even see it. It's a waste, I'm sorry. The clothes are so basic, it hurts. It hurts me. They do not give off main character vibes at all. They look like an extra in the background. The focus for the shape language, I don't even know. It's just how I normally drew things. It's just the default everything. And now coming from the way I used to draw, the low ponytail is in the wrong freaking place. And it looks floppy. I hate it. It's horrible. And we still have the cinnamon roll hands. Oh god. When actually doing this mind board, I'm not kidding, I genuinely had to cover this up because it was triggering so much anger. I don't know why. I just hate it. I hate it so much. Okay, so now we're moving on to the inspiration of my redesigns. I'm just going to quickly go on record and say I don't normally put that much prep into these kind of things. I normally just draw and see what sticks. However, I'm actually quite proud of myself because I did a lot of research on this. Most of my ideas came from Pinterest. I have a private pin board on there so I can gather all my ideas and put it in my mood board. And just a quick note on my mood board, as you can see, I kind of blurred out the faces of some of the people there. That's only because I don't really know, I just got this offline. I don't know if they're okay with having their faces on my channel, and I don't really want to risk that, so I just blurred it out to be respectful. Okay, so for Dell I wanted the main colour to be purple, because it's kind of mysterious, and the portal is purple, and it's kind of a whole point of the story. But it's also historically known for being quite regal, and I actually wanted to lean more into the fact that I think Dell would be from a well-off family, I think. The universe Dell was born in is very much inspired by medieval fantasy, a heavy emphasis on the fantasy part, so I stuck to regal alchemist vibes when looking for inspiration. I eventually gathered 14 pins and selected 8 to go on the mood board, but I only ended up using 7, which is consistent throughout the other characters as well. Okay, so for Skylar it was actually the most difficult to gather pictures for her, because I wanted to go for the butch femme vibes over tomboy. Eventually I found a few pictures that I liked though. There was one with a cropped tank top shirt, and then I had like a picture in my head of her wearing a sports jacket over the top, and I actually quite like that. For the hair I gathered pictures of like mullets and short hair, because I want at least one character with the short hair, and Skylar seems kind of perfect for that. I honestly don't really have much more to say on this one, so I'm just going to leave it there. For Lola's redesign, I was actually really excited about this one. I kind of leaned into the faint French vibes I previously got. For the vibes, I wanted to go for like pastel, cool, cutesy fancy outfits. I wanted a cinnamon roll look, but the kind of cinnamon roll who can and will throw hands if angered, because we like that here. I found exactly what I wanted on Pinterest. This search made me very happy, and I accumulated the most pictures in this one because it was so fun and adorable, and I loved every second of it. I physically had to stop myself from continuing all day. That's not an exaggeration. Okay, and lastly, for John's old design, I wanted to completely change it. Instead of the bogus, non-existent personality in the design, I fished for a studious aesthetic. I found a lot of clothes that I was certain he'd wear. I changed his pronouns. I'll talk about that more after the redesign. But I wanted like book core, Pinterest core, business casual. I'm not sure what the aesthetic is called, but it suits the studious vibes I was going for. I was scrolling through and I found a picture of a pendant with a rose and some glasses, and I just knew I had to include them in this new design. I just had to. It would be a crime not to. Alright, so now we're moving on to the actual redesigns. I was originally going to have this segment be over a speed paint of me doing all of them, but the way the speed paint went, the order was like really messed up and it just didn't really work. So we're gonna do this instead. Sorry if I sound a bit out of breath, I just came back from doing something. I actually redesigned Dell first, like initially, but I was surprised at how difficult it was. That day I had a picture in my head, but I couldn't quite translate it to paper properly, and it ended up looking like something I wasn't really happy with. Like, just look at this. Look at this. What's that? So I took a break for a few days, and I tried again late at night when I actually wanted to draw, and they all turned out so much better. So I started with Lola, because I already knew what I wanted to do with her. I took the clothes from the pictures and gave her a beret. I gave her random features to incorporate the shape language in the original design that wasn't really there. I actually kept the original colour scheme because I really did like it, but I did make teal her main colour this time. And I gave her lipstick because I wanted to. I feel like it adds to the cinnamon roll, but will throw hands with you when angry. It's lovely. We love it here. And my glasses are moving. And then I did Skylar. I struggled a lot with Skylar because I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't know how to do it. I ended up doing 3 sketches before leaving it and coming back to it later. So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to do Jordan for now. We're going to come back to Skylar later. Okay, so Jordan was also pretty easy to do. I just picked out some stuff from the mood board and tossed it together. I kind of wanted to make Jordan a trans man because I just wanted to throw that in since I'm also trans. I wanted something to make me connect to this character more because I wanted to make sure I put effort into each and every design I did today. And believe it or not, it actually helped. I added a strand of grey or silver hair because I thought it'd be cool to have it so Jordan dyes that strand of hair to make himself feel like a book character more. I thought it'd give him some more story. Now we're going to come back to Skylar. After multiple attempts, I drew something that I kinda liked and I carried it over to the final design where I practically just winged it. And I actually ended up liking it. Instead of green being the main colour, I actually chose red instead. And I used green as an accent colour. The red shorts was an accident, but then I actually kinda liked it, so I kept it. I struggled with how to colour her hair though, because I wanted to stick to her blonde hair, but for some reason, when I was mapping out the colours I was going to use, I didn't have blonde in there. So instead I tried black, but I wanted to give her some light hair to contrast with the others. So I used light grey instead, and I kept it. And finally, it's Del's turn. Ignoring past attempts that I don't want to talk about, this time was much easier because I had time to design the others first to warm up. I gathered a lot of old design choices like the curly hair tied up in a short ponytail, the goggles on their head, and the type of waistcoat. Then I changed a few things. I incorporated some more alchemist equipment like the thigh strap and the belts and the pockets on their hips to hold stuff in, and I gave Del a tie because, you know, regal. And then I added some fantasy aspects, and I gave them a cape. Cape. Fantastic. No comment. And the buttons of the cape carry the same swirl motif as their goggles. I thought it'd be fitting to give Del glasses this time, because it gives them a studious, I know what I'm doing, you cannot tell me otherwise look. It's also very regal because I gave them glasses chains too. Now that I look at it, they kind of look like a receptionist. Anyway, this last bit I just threw in randomly because I just wanted to add a bit more story. I thought it would add depth to the character designs, and, you know, it's just fun. So now for a bit of story, because why not? I imagine Lola can be quite shy and very sweet. People often underestimate her, but that is exactly what she wants, because when it comes down to it, she can throw some punches. She's never really been a very popular, but she does have a few long-distance friends. Her parents like to travel a lot on holidays, so she's been to a lot of places, but her favourite place to go is 100% France. She loves the food, the language, the fashion, etc., and that country inspired a lot of who she is today. She volunteers to help a few students who transfer from France because she speaks French quite well, and it's nice to learn some more about her favourite country, about those who actually live there. On the other hand, Jordan is a very studious bookworm who can't really socialise very well. Because he transitioned at the beginning of school, he often gets really anxious around his classmates because they know that he's, you know, transgender. He recognises that it's nothing to be nervous about since his classmates are all very nice and supportive, but it doesn't feel like he fits in. So he pours himself into his schoolwork and his fantasy worlds. He really enjoys analysing text to see how the author presents things and possibly the reason why. It helps him to understand and better his own writing since he wants to be an author when he's given the chance. He writes stories online under an alias, but is too shy to share it with people. I can imagine that Jordan and Lola met up at school, and they decided to hang out together. They bonded over a French fantasy book Jordan was reading at the time, and how the culture was presented there. In complete opposition, Skylar is very popular. She's good at sports, and she's very pleasant to be around. She cracks jokes to make new people feel more comfortable with her, and she loves connecting with other people. She plays for the soccer or football team in the school as a goalie, and she's very passionate about it. She lives with her dad and takes care of her little brother when her dad is at work. They're not very wealthy, but she doesn't mind getting her hands dirty to help out, and she gets favours from some of her friends. She most likely joined Jordan and Lola because she thought they were pretty chill, and she needed a break from being swarmed with people for once. Then she started warming up to them properly, and the trio became inseparable. Finally, Del's an elfling from a different universe who lived a very privileged life. Despite being born unsure what sex they were, their parents were very supportive of them and even encouraged them to use they-them pronouns instead of being lost. They lived in a big library with their dad, who was a very well-known alchemist of the Queen's court, and their mum, who was a royal advisor. They were trained in the art of magic since young, but their desire to work hard and join the Queen's court as well when they were older drove them away from other kids their age. They had no friends and despised the idea of making them, seeing friends as a distraction to their work and thinking themselves better alone. That's the only thing I'll say about Dell's story, since the rest of it is actually a big part in the overall plot, which I think I actually will be continuing, most likely as a webcomic, but don't quote me on that. I'm not sure when that will happen, but I hope it will happen soon. Okay, so this part is unscripted, so it might be a bit messy, but I just want to say thank you so much for watching my first video. I hope it was okay. I mean, if you watched this far, it must have been decent, at least. This is my first time doing something like this, but it was really, really fun, and I will be doing more of this in the future. So if you'd like to see that, then please do hit the subscribe button. It's free and you can always unsubscribe later. And why not leave a comment? Like, comment which one was your favourite design and why. I'd really like to know your opinions, and I'll actually try my best to reply. So that's it for now, and I'll be seeing you next time. Bye!